Hare Krishna, everyone.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, प्रणाम प्रभु।
Hare Krishna, Nandu Pranam to all the devotees and my obeisances to all of you. I welcome you and invite you to the early morning short Bhagavatam class from Radha Govinda Temple, Kolai, Bengaluru, for and on behalf of His Grace Divine, His Grace Sri Namarishna Das Prabhuji. Let us begin with prayers, so that God gives us intelligence enough to understand His message clearly. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Nami Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Papradayine Gaura Pratha Damadaya Nagargram Tarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Shiksha Sunyavadi Paschatani Shatarine Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudpad Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitansha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी क्ष्मानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च प्रतीतानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः request you all to follow me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ओम
Namo
नमो भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ओम
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ओम
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Vasudevaya.
Yam Pravrajantamanupetamakrityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava
Yam
यं
Pravrajantamanupetamapetकृत्यं
प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं
Dvaipayano
विरहकातराजुहाव।
Putreti tanmayataya tarvobhinedu stam sarvabhutaradayam mudimanatosmi.
Putreti
पुत्रेति
Tanmaya
तन्मयतया
Sarvabhinedu
तर्वोऽभिनेदुस्तं तं
Sarvabhuta
सर्वभूतहृदयं
Mudimanate
मुनिमानतोऽस्मि।
Asmi.
Yah swanubhavam shruti saramekam adhyatma deepamati titishatam tamodam.
Yasvanubhavakilashrutisaramekam
यस्वानुभवामखिलश्रुतिसारमेकम्
Adhyatmadipamatitishatamodam.
Sansarinam karunayah purana guhyam tam vyasam sunupupayami guru munina.
संसारिणा करुणया पुराणगुह्यं तं व्यासं समर्पयामि गुरुं मुनीनाम्।
विपदाः सन्तुतः सस्वतत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो भावतो दर्शनं यस्याद पुनर्भुवदर्शनम्
विपदा सन्तु सत्सत्सत्तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरु भवतो दर्शनं यच्चाय पुनरभावदर्शनम्।
जन्मैश्वर्याश्रुतं श्रीभिरेति देवानमदः पुमान् नैवारहत्या अपि तद्विधातुं वै त्वम् अकिञ्चन गोचरम्
जन्मास्वर्यश्रुतो सिरिव्रेन्द्रमन्मदः पुमान् नैवाहत्याभिधुर्तुमां वैदुमपि न गोचरम्।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यां नरोत्तमम्
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये।
शृणतां स्वकथः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
शृण्वतां स्वकथां कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
हृदयन्तस्तोयभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरस्तताम्
हृदयन्ते भद्राणि विदोनति सुहोत्सताम्।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नष्टप्रायेषु प्रभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी।
Let us begin with the Canto 5, Chapter 1, verse 22. We finished yesterday until 21. We start with 22 today. Go ahead, Madhumai Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मनुरपि परेणैवं प्रतिसन्धितमनोरथः सुरऋषिवरा अनुमतेन आत्मजम् अखिल धरामण्डल स्थितिगुप्तया आस्थाप्य स्वयं अतिविषम विषयुविष जलाशय आशाय उपररामा। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Mataji. Subharao Prabhuji. Dandavat
हरे
Pranam.
कृष्ण धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मनुरपि परेणैवं प्रतिसन्दित मनोरथः सुरर्षिवरानुमतेनात्मजम् अखिलधरामण्डलस्थितिगुप्तय आस्थाप्य स्वयं अतिविषय विषय जलाशयाशया उपररामा। हरि बोल।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Madhusoni Mataji, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मनोरपि परेणैवं प्रतिसन्धित मनोरथः सुरर्षिवरानुमते सुरर्षिवरानुमतेन आत्मजमखिलं धरामण्डल स्थितगुप्त्य आस्थाप्य स्वयमति विषय विषजलाशयाशय उपरराम। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna Mataji. Anyone else left out? Revati Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी मनुरपि
Hare Krishna.
परिणावं प्रतिसन्द मनोरथा सुरशिवर नुमेतेनात्मजा किलादरा मण्डलासिति गुप्तय अस्तया
Thank
स्वयं
you.
मनोति विषयां जल शया शया उपारामा। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू वेरी मच
Thank you,
प्रभु जी।
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Anjali Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
मधुरपि पर्णैव प्रतिसन्धितमनोरथाः सुरशीवरा अनुमते आत्मजम् अखिलधरा मण्डल स्थितिगुप्तया आस्याप्स स्वयम् विषया विषजलाशया अशय उपरराम। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Vijaya Kumari Mataji, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी मनोर अभिपरेणैवं प्रदिशन्ति मनोरथ सुहर्षि वरानुमादेनात्मजम् अखिल तरामण्डलं श्रुति गुप्तया स्थाप्य स्वयं अधिविषम विषय विष जवाशयाशय उबल उब राम। हरे कृष्ण
Rama.
प्रभु।
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhula Mataji, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मनुरपि परिणैव प्रतिसन्धित मनोरथः सुरसिर्वरानुमते नात्मजमखिलधरामण्डलस्थितं गुप्तस्य गुप्तय आस्थाप्य स्वयं इतं विषमया विषजलाशयाशयाः उपरराम। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। थैंक यू प्रभु।
Thank you. Pushpa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय मनोरवि परेणैवं प्रतिसन्धित मनोरथः सुरर्षिवरानुमदेनात्मजम् अखिलतरा मण्डलश्रुति गुप्तया स्थाप्य स्वयं मदि विषम विषय विष दवासयाशय वरराम। थैंक यू प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Anyone left out? Okay. Vijaya Kumari Mataji, would you like to read synonyms for us? Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay. Madhu Soni Mataji, would you like to read synonyms for us?
श्योर प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
मनुः स्वयंभुव मनु अपि also प्रेरणा by Lord Brahma evam thus pratisandhita executed manah ratha his mental aspiration sura rasivara of the great sage Narada anumatena by the permission Atmajan his son Akhila of the entire universe Dhara Mandala of planets Sthiti maintenance Guptaya for the protection Asthapya establishing Swayama personally Ati Vishwama very dangerous Vishaya material affairs Visha of poison Jala Ashaya ocean Ashaya for desires Upara Rama got relief. Thank you Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhu Soni Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swayambhuva Manu, with the assistance of the Lord Brahma, thus fulfilled his desires. With the permission of the great sage Narada, he delivered to his son the governmental responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planets of the universe. He thus achieved relief from the most dangerous, poisonous ocean of the material desire. This translation, there are three areas that have been said very clearly. One is the fulfillment of the desire. Swayambhuva Manu had a desire to relinquish all the responsibility and sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. The second is delivering to his son the government responsibility. So that was the action that he took. And lastly, he achieved the relief from the most dangerous, poisonous ocean, the material world. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swayambhuva Manu was practically hopeless because such a great personality as Narada was instructing his son, Priyavrata, not to accept household life. Now, he was very pleased that Lord Brahma had interfered by inducing his son to accept the responsibility for ruling the government of the universe. From Bhagavad Gita, we get information that Vaivaswata Manu was the son of sun god and that his son Maharaja Ishwaku ruled this planet Earth. Swayambhuva Manu, however, appears to have been in charge of the entire universe, and he entrusted to his son, Maharaj Priyavrata, the responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planetary systems. Dhara Mandala means planet. This earth, for instance, is called Dhara Mandala. Dhara Mandala, Akhila. Akhila, however, means all of the all or universal. It is therefore difficult to understand where Maharaj Priyavrata was situated, but from the literature, his position certainly appears greater than that of Vaivaswata Manu, for he was entrusted with all the planetary systems of the entire universe. Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain the difference. The Vaivaswata Manu was a son of sun god, and he then gives his earthly planet to rule to his son Ishwaku, whereas Swayambhuva Manu is now giving responsibility of the entire universe, that means all the planetary system, to his son Priyavrata. And thus Prabhupada says that it's possible that Swayambhuva Manu was at a higher level than Vaishwata Manu. Okay. Vaishwata Manu. Let's go a little further. Another significant statement is that Swayambhuva Manu took great satisfaction from abrogating the responsibility for ruling all the planetary systems of the universe. At present, politicians are very eager to take charge of the government, and They engaged their men in canvassing from door to door to get votes to the win the post of president or a similar exalted office. On the contrary, however, herein we find that King Priyavrata had to be persuaded by the Lord Brahma to accept the post of emperor of the entire universe. Similarly, his father, Swayambhuva, felt relieved to entrust the universal government to Priyavrata. Thus, it is evident that the kings and the executive heads of the government in the Vedic age never accepted their position for the sense enjoyment. Such exalted kings who were known as Rajarshis ruled only to maintain and protect the kingdom for the welfare of the citizens. The history of Priyavrata and Swayambhu describes how exemplary, responsible monarchs perform the entire duties of the government with disinterest, keeping themselves always aloof from the contamination of material attachment. Material affairs have herein been compared to the ocean of poison. They have been described in a similar way by Srila Narottam Das Thakur in one of his songs. Sansara Visanale Diwani Sihya Jwale Judaite Na Kaina Upaya. My heart is always burning in the fire of material existence, and I have made no provisions for getting out of it. Golokera Premadana, Harinam Samkirtana, Ratina Janmira, Kene Taya. The only remedy is Hari's Nam ki Samkirtan. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is important from the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavana. How unfortunate I am that I have no attraction for thee. Manu wanted to seek shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore, when his son Priyavrata took charge of these worldly affairs, Manu was very relieved. That is the system of Vedic civilization. At the end of the life, one must free himself from worldly affairs and completely engage in the service of the Lord. The word Surarsi Vara Anubattena is also significant. Manu entrusted the government to his son with the permission of the great saint Narada. This is particularly mentioned because although Narada wanted Priyavrata to become free from all material affairs when Priyavrata took charge of the universe by the request of Lord Brahma and Manu. Narada was also very pleased. The purport appears long, it's simple, straightforward, and I think it really says everything that what it means. It's very easy to understand it. Prabhupada first clears the doubts about ruling the earth and ruling the universe. Earth is a single planet, and ruling the earth is one job, whereas ruling all the planetary systems and the entire universe is a big thing. So it appears that probably Prabhupada says that Iswaku Maharaj was ruling the earth, whom Gita was spoken by Sri Krishna. And that's what he mentions in Bhagavad Gita. Whereas Swayambhu Manu and Priyavrata and their story is describing the emperor who is actually ruling the entire planetary system. And that's why they are situated in a different category. Prabhupada further goes and says that actually Swayambhu Manu had a great relief after giving his kingdom over for affairs to rule to his son. And this is a great thing. In the present day situation, politicians do not like to leave their chair, whatever happens. Even if people put allegations on you, and there are some evidences that appears all around, people still do not want to lose their position. And even politicians nowadays want to continue ruling and holding on to chair in spite of number one allegation, in spite of being in the custody of police and other things, or even being in jail. So the situation is quite different in Kali Yuga than what it used to be in Satyuga. And in Satyuga, even even giving away the, the rule of the entire universe was considered to be a relief. It only means that no king or emperor was using the exalted position of ruling the universe for his own satisfaction or for his own gratification. He was ruling it purely to maintain the universal affairs and to protect the universe from any calamities. This is Prabhupada's ideas are the differences between the Vedic civilization and present day civilization. Unfortunately, the present day civilization we have imported virtually from the West, and we know that it was the same West, the Western world, who was living the life of Adam and Eve when the Indian civilization or the Hindu civilization or the civilization in the subcontinent of South Asia was far ahead, and we had the pinnacle of civilization somewhere about 5 to 6,000 years old civilization. So
Hare
conceptually,
Krishna Prabhuji,
there
voice
are,
is not coming, Prabhuji.
is it? Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, clearly.
Okay, okay. Mataji, can you hear me now? Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, rest of the people, are you hearing me?
Yes, Prabhuji,
Sorry for
clearly.
asking you again. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. It's the Western propositions that we have virtually adopted because they ruled on us for several years and we forgot our own Vedic way of civilization. The contrasting things are seen in many places and many areas. One of the fundamental area where the contrast is seen is if you look at the Eastern civilization, our Maharajas were always having the Dharma Gurus or the chief saint as a Purohit in the Rajya Sabha. And he would have Uchchasan even higher than the king's Sinhasan. At the time of making decisions, king would always ask the chief saint or or we used to call the prophet as well, about whether there is any religious laws which are broken by any orders or decisions. And until he approves the decision of the king would not take that decision. At the end of the day, king would worship the saint and then he would proceed further. So we had religious principles being observed, and that includes the principle of liberation, principle of salvation, whatever you call it at the end. What Srila Prabhupada says, the ultimate aim of all human beings in the civilization is to go back to Godhead. These principles were followed for all the people in the kingdom. And that's why king was considered to be a servant. And a servant not only of the public, but of the Lord at all the time. The simple example is if you have recent history known to you, there is a temple known as Sri Padmanabham Temple in Kerala, in Thiruvananthapuram or Trivandrum as we used to call it. This temple has a treasure which is about 6 to 8 large halls have filled up with. And this treasure is mainly of gold, golden ornaments, diamonds, and other pearls. It's a huge treasure, and there is a king of that area who always comes at 4 o'clock and starts puja in the temple and calls himself the Sevak of Padmanabha. When the Supreme Court of our land, this bench asked him that you, as per the papers, are the owner of the whole temple and all the treasures that it has. And he refused to accept it, saying that that treasure belongs to Padmanabha and not to him. He is simply a servant of the Lord. This is the way our civilization, the Vedic way of working was. Look at to what extent we have degenerated from those values into the values where Prabhupada explains that door-to-door canvassing is done to get elected and become the chief or become the something in the present day situation. This is simply because people look at the position for their own benefit. And because they look at for their own benefit, it certainly is for their own gratifications. You see in the present situation also that when someone is honest, it's very difficult for him to survive because the whole system is going in other. So Prabhupada is just trying to show us two different civilizations and two different understandings. Our understanding of Vedic civilization is really one of the most exalted ones. And I think we must look at trying to establish some kind of things that we are learning from our scripture, because this is what our forefathers used to do. Similarly, Varnashram Dharma, if you look at it, is also one of the superb way of running the society. It's absolutely scientific and it is based on karma of a person and his attitude towards a particular job. Unfortunately, by a twist of understanding and twist of foreign interference, those who were ruling India at that time, a small minor abrogation in the basic fact converted the whole Varnashram into a Jativad. Varnashram, as we now understand in the scripture, doesn't mean that if I am born in a Brahmin family, I am a born Brahmin. No, I am a Brahmin, but I am a Brahmabandhu. It's only that I acquire the qualifications of a Brahmin. Then and then I become a Brahmin. Even a Shudra who has been born in a Shudra family, if he acquires the Brahmin qualifications, he becomes Brahmin. That's the way we used to have our Varnashram functioning. And if Varnashram functions, being scientific, it certainly would be against the Jativad that we have now. As I said, this is a wrong interpretation by some foreign group of people that made the twist into our nicely arranged society. Any question, any revelation, and any addition in the topic that we have discussed today? If not, then I would like to discuss the issue that Subbarao Prabhu raised yesterday. I found something that might explain in a similar line as Sujata Subhash Mataji was explaining. I don't know whether she's there today.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yesterday, Subbarao Prabhuji raised a question, good question, that up to what limit we have the, okay. This is one of the slides that we had when we had Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It describes the different level of happiness that one gets. And this level of happiness from Manushya happiness or Manushyana goes up to the devotional service. But at every stage, the next stage of happiness increases by 100 times of the previous stage. And these are the stages from left bottom to right top, which a human can undergo through various stages. The first is Manushya, and then there is Gandharvana. Manushya, basically, I think we'll have to look at this concept. A youth who is moral in character, has read and studied the Vedas, active in karma, strongly built in body, and strong in physical strength, and who has the whole world under his control. Such a youth enjoys the highest pleasure in manifold ways in the world. Such Ananda or pleasure is called Manushyananda. The further is a Gandharva, and it describes a man, Kshatriya, by birth, who by dint of specific Vedic karma has attained to the stage of Gandharva, that is a sort of demigod in heaven and a heavenly musician. The next is Deva Gandharva. These are from there onwards, it's only Brahmanas who achieve that kind of anand or pleasure or happiness. And these are Devgandharvas, Pitru, then it's Ajana Deva, then it is Karma Deva, Deva happiness, Indra happiness, Bruhaspati happiness, Prajapati's happiness, and lastly, Brahmananda happiness. Sujata Mataji was explaining yesterday that there is kind of a continuity from material manifestation merging ultimately into a spiritual sky. And so, Srila Prabhupada yesterday explained almost, and I think she is absolutely right. The interpretation is that almost, the birth and death almost has gone. And that is the explanation that I get from this slide. Though this does not describe the birth and death, it actually is describing the happiness. It is saying that this happiness that one receives from devotional service, that is the Brahmananda, the bliss of merging in the Brahman effulgence, were multiplied 100 trillion times, it would still not equal even an atomic fragment of the ocean of the transcendental bliss felt in devotional service. So the point here is that I'm bringing something entirely different to prove the point that Sujata Mataji described is happiness, but then look at the happiness. The Brahmananda, which is actually merging with the Brahman, is at the same platform, though much higher, in the same line or the same string is described. And thus, Sujata Mataji has a point that it's a continuity from the material world, higher up and up, until you reach a level where you cross over from material manifestation into the spiritual sky. And then the spiritual sky exists beyond that. But by the way, this point is very important, which I am reading again. Different level of happiness. If Brahmananda, the bliss of merging in Brahman effulgence, were multiplied 100 trillion times, it would still not equal even an atomic fragment of the ocean of transcendental bliss felt in devotional service. Subhara Prabhuji, does that make some sense? She is right. It's slowly going out of material and ultimately into the spiritual world. And that's why Srila Prabhupada has used the word almost in saying that there is no birth and death.
Hare Krishna
Subhara Prabhuji,
Prabhuji. 1 minute.
yes,
Prabhuji, there at that stage, it's immaterial whether you're going to be in the cycle of birth or death because you're beyond liberation, no, in that state.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
So it becomes
Yeah.
immaterial
In
to
fact,
the.
yeah. In fact, pure devotees have been asking to give them birth again and again to continue the devotional service.
Mm.
Yes, Mother. Subhara Prabhuji, does that make some sense? Prabhuji is not there. Okay, fine.
Mm. Okay,
I hope
Prabhuji.
it makes some sense to all of us. And this is the best that I could get even after discussing with you.
Anyway,
Yes, Mother.
one more thing, Prabhuji, I was just thinking, I don't know, it's only a speculation, that Brahman, because in 13th chapter, Prabhupada writes, Brahman, it refers to Jiva in that context. And in other context, it refers to Bhagavan. So, that Brahman effulgence and Brahmaloka, they depends upon how you refer that Brahman, whether you're referring it to Lord Brahma or you're referring it to Bhagavan. So I think that is Brahman effulgence refers to Bhagavan, whereas Satyaloka will refer to Lord Brahma's residence. I think that's how we have to differentiate, I think. Not thinking that Brahmaloka means it's the loka of Bhagavan, not the Lord Brahma.
Yes.
That
That's
also
true.
could be there.
It's the exchange of words.
Yeah,
The
the words,
Satyaloka is for
because
Brahma, and because Brahman looks like Brahma, that we might make mistake. So it's just a
confusion.
further step, one step further, that you
Yes.
go into Brahman.
That anyway we can get clarified. It's difficult, Prabhuji. These things interpretation, like Prabhupada, we can't. We have to learn a lot of things. It's difficult.
Yeah. It's our beginning. We are neophytes. That's why it's difficult to understand everything.
Yes.
Any other question, any other revelation, any addition? If there are none, all of you have a very happy Guru Purnima. Wonderful day. Guru Purnima is today, right?
Gaura
Yes,
Purnima.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna to all of
Hare
you. Vacha kalpataru. Thank you very
Hare
much for
Krishna,
attending the
Prabhuji. Thank you
class.
so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to all of you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.